Boris Johnson's behaviour over the past 72 hours has been pretty batshit. But there's one minister who's topped him in the shameless stakes. Attorney General Suella Braverman. Here she is talking to Robert Peston on Wednesday night.
We've seen extraordinary criticism of the Prime Minister over the last 24 hours. What do you make of his statements or the statements of his officials tonight that he's simply not going to resign?
Well, Robert, I've been a supporter of Boris's for many years, and I'm incredibly proud to be serving in his administration, and I'm very proud of what he's achieved on Brexit, on COVID, on Ukraine. And I'm incredibly sad today. There's an overwhelming sense of despair and sadness in Parliament amongst Conservative MPs because, to my mind, and it pains me to say this in my heart, but I do think the time has come for the Prime Minister to step down.
So that was the Attorney General saying publicly that Boris Johnson should resign. That's, of course, reasonable. However, given cabinet government comes with what's called collective responsibility, one would assume that that would mean she would be tendering her own resignation. Not so.
So if you're saying he has to go, I presume in all conscience you feel you can't stay as Attorney General, can you?
Well, my first duty is to the country, Robert. And as attorney, I'm the senior law officer. And we're in a crisis.
Yeah.
And I have statutory, legal and constitutional duties. Today I've been at my desk doing work which is of legal importance and has legal deadlines. I don't want to resign because I have that duty and we need an attorney in government.
But you must recognise that there's a very good chance the Prime Minister will now ask you to resign.
That is his choice, and I will do whatever the Prime Minister asks me to do.
Braverman here is clearly a believer in cakeism, that a person can have their cake and eat it. Or it could also be described as being absolutely shameless. In any case, the drama only intensified.
A number of your colleagues have actually said that they wondered whether you, as and when the time comes for a leadership election, might think about standing.
I'll be straight with you, Robert. Yes, I will. If there is a leadership contest, I will put my name into the ring. I love this country. My parents came here with absolutely nothing, and it was Britain that gave them hope, security and opportunity. And this country's afforded me incredible opportunities in education and in my career. And I owe a debt of gratitude to this country. And to serve as Prime Minister would be the greatest honour. So yes, I will try.
I'll be straight with you, Robert. Yes, and I believe it was Winston Churchill who once said... That was clearly rehearsed, wasn't it? Anyway, Suella Braverman became the first person to throw her hat into the ring and launched her own leadership campaign while still serving in the cabinet of the guy she wanted to resign. This is unprecedented stuff. But the next part of the interview was the really scary bit. Here are the policies Braverman thinks could make her Prime Minister.
There's many, many priorities, but I think fundamentally we need to deliver some proper tax cuts so that people can be dealing with the cost of living challenges in a more feasible way. We need to shrink the size of the state and cut government spending so we can curb inflation. We need to solve the problem of the boats across the channel. We need to stop a foreign court interfering in our domestic affairs. We need to make sure the Brexit opportunities are felt for everybody in this country. And lastly, we need to get rid of all of this woke rubbish and actually get back to a country where describing a man and a woman in terms of biology does not mean that you're going to lose your job.
Yeesh. So, Michael, how terrified should we be? Are we staring down the barrel of Prime Minister Suella?
We'll save what she was saying about policies one moment. I just loved how incredibly chaotic that was. Like, I am incredibly sad to say, Robert, that I do think it's time he resigns. But I've got a lot of important legal deadlines to meet, so I won't be resigning. And yes, Robert, I am going to stand as leader. Like the whole thing is just like, I love it. The chaotic energy was spot on. She's so like confident. She's got no idea what's going on. I love it. But I don't really, because she's obviously a terrible, terrible person. And that pitch to the Conservative Party membership and to Conservative MPs was pretty terrifying. We are in the midst of a cost of living crisis. Inflation is at 10%. People's real wages are falling. People are struggling to pay the rent. This winter, they will be choosing between heating and eating. And Suella Braverman is saying what we need is tax cuts and to be transphobic. And it's like, this is so insane, right? Like it is so divorced from reality and what people need and want. And what scares me is that potentially she is in touch with what Tory MPs and what Tory members want. And if all Tory MPs and Tory members want in the middle of a cost of living crisis is tax cuts and transphobia, like, we're really, really screwed. Because, and I suppose it doesn't surprise me, no Tory MPs and no Tory members are the kind of people who really care that people can't afford their gas bills, that people can't pay their rent, that people are struggling with, real pay cuts of 5-10%. If people are getting 1 or 2% pay rises and you've got 10% inflation, that's a massive pay cut that everyone is suffering from. And that's after 12 years of completely stagnating wages, stagnating life expectancy as well, by the way. So we have a country which is facing intense, immense challenges, right? And the selectorate who are going to choose the next prime minister for potentially, another 2 years, this woman who seems to be, reasonably in touch with MPs and the membership, even if not with reality, she thinks that how you do that is tax cuts and transphobia.